Princess.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't
Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 309. I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Aaron Rift is here, Big G, Gino, Walter Cruz, and JJ. What's going on, everybody? Big G, what's up?
Doing pretty good. We had a crown jewel this past weekend, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. So let's get this ball rolling.
Get this ball rolling. JJ, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. Good to be here on a Tuesday night. Good to talk about some wrestling. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on today, but I'm glad that there's something that's going to keep me entertained.
It's election night, so hope everybody.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. We'll see what happens I don't even know if we'll know truly tomorrow if it's close. It might take a few days, but anyway, if it was voting for a wrestling president, Aaron Rift would be all about it. He'd be talking about it on the website, and it'd be exciting because it's wrestling. But anyway, I don't
know about the candidates, but I believe in Joe Hendry, that's for sure.
One of the candidates is a WWE Hall of Famer. Walter, what's up? Can't hear you.
Botch. Walter's muted.
Botch. I'm doing okay considering how the beginning of the week started, but I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about this and jump into wrestling because I need to be distracted right now.
All right, stay tuned. What's up, Gino?
Not too much. I'm looking forward to talking these topics. I think we got some great stuff to talk about today. So looking forward to getting
started.
Everybody's
in a hurry to talk about wrestling. All right, yeah. Aaron, what's going on? And of course, Psycho Jet Black is here on election night.
Yeah.
Go.
Thank you to everyone tuning in tonight live. Much appreciated. And we're going to do our best to give you a fun, entertaining form of escapism with the NoDQ review. We got some great wrestling topics because it is all about wrestling. That's why we're here. Shout out to Psycho Jet Black. He said, to quote Homer Simpson, "Don't blame me. I voted for CODIS." That is true. Thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Classic Treehouse of Horror episode. And Psycho Jet Black also sent in a $2 super chat. Says, vote. Here we go. We're going to vote on something. Vote for the best and worst finishers in WWE and AEW. All right. Best finisher in WWE. What has it been in 2024? Is it the Crossroads, even though people seem to kick out of it? Cody has to hit like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, it's definitely not Crossroads.
All right, Gino, do you have a best or worst finisher for WWE or AEW?
So I definitely have a worst. I think that the rear end by Naomi, it just doesn't. I get it, but it just doesn't look like it does much. And she hit it to win the last match she was in. I was just like, man, the best finisher as far as this year in wrestling. I mean, how many people are using the spear to get their wins? So, I mean, you gotta maybe argue that that's one of the better ones up there. I'll get to another finisher as we talk about one of the topics, though.
All right. Walter, best finisher, worst finisher?
Best Soul Snatcher.
Oh, good choice.
By Soul Ruka. That's a good one. And worst, geez, I don't know. People kick out of everything. Yeah, I guess the Sphere because it's just overused by everybody.
All right, so different opinions on the Spear. JJ?
I think I got to agree with the Soul Snatcher. I was thinking about the Panama Sunrise because I've always been a fan of the Canadian Destroyer. So I would say with either one of those for best. Worst, I'm going with the Super Kick.
Yeah, I agree on the Super Kick.
It's about as bastardized as the Spear now. You got to hit like 27 of them in a match before you can finally keep somebody down. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Right. No, I agree with you on that. Big G?
Worst finisher right now in WWE. Yeah, I would have to go with I would go with the spear because like everybody uses it, and it's like way overdone, just like the super kick. Best finisher right now, I'm gonna go with the Claymore. I'm
Claymore.
I'm gonna go with the Claymore.
Best finisher, I'll go with the BTF. But I think Virtue would go with the spear just because it's Roman Reigns' finisher. Do you have a
Is
different
that
one?
has
EFT.
anybody kicked out of Nia Jax's Samoan drop?
Liv Morgan
The
did,
Annihilator.
didn't
The
she?
Annihilator.
Yeah, one time.
And up,
Who's-
but nobody actually kicked out.
Who's
Yeah.
kicked out of the Annihilator? Because that's a
Sure,
good choice.
nobody's
Not
kicked out
recently.
of is the best one. If there isn't one, they all suck.
Yeah,
Mm.
I like the
finishers. Finishers aren't a thing anymore. I mean, even the spear. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Takes 3 to win.
Yeah, I like
That's
the
the state of
tsunami. I
wrestling.
think it's a cool move right now. But yeah, it really goes to show that the finishers are not protected nearly to the degree that they used to be. I wish we could go back and have them actually mean something. JJ?
To Virtue's point, like Baron Corbin's End of Days was one of the most protected finishers that there was, and well, you saw how
That's
they
what I
did
was
him.
gonna say. Yeah.
Speaking
We'll
of
get
end
to
of
him in a
days,
moment.
yeah.
Believe
end
it or
of
not,
days.
the Razor's Edge was super protected. No one ever kicked out of the Razor's Edge. People don't know that. Nobody ever kicked out of his version of it, and it's still a good. They don't use it as a finisher. They use it more as a placeholder right now, but not too many people kick out of it.
All right. So thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. Virtue, let's get into our main
All right,
topics.
let's just get this one out of the way. Final thoughts on Crown Jewel. Obviously, we have our Crown Jewel champions. They don't get to take those belts with them, but they do get to wear rings. Of course, Liv Morgan defeated Nia Jax, and Cody Rhodes defeated Gunther. Of course, it's the year of Cody. Give Cody everything because I can't wait until The Rock takes it away. But final thoughts on Crown Jewel, the Saudi Arabia show, the Blood Money show. Big G, I'll start with you.
I thought it was entertaining. I enjoyed it from start to finish. You know, like you said, they don't take the title belts home. They get the Super Bowl-esque kind of rings that they can, I guess, they wear for the whole year up until Crown Jewel again next year. We got the continuation of the Bloodline storyline, the Civil War, which I thought was cool. You know, Sammy coming out there and quote unquote accidentally hitting Roman Reigns. So we'll see what that goes on Friday. Other than that, it was good. You know, Bronson Reed is looking pretty good, even though he lost to Seth Rollins. The women's tag title still, I really aren't feeling it, even though Jade and Bianca are the champs. I feel like they would need somebody. I don't know what the word is. Someone more definitive, get like a more definitive win. But with the tag division they have, they can't really do much. But all in all, I thought it was a good show. So, and I guess congrats to Cody and Liv for becoming the first Crown Jewel champions.
Oh, thank you, Big G. JJ, I just want to point out one thing that really stuck out to me at Crown Jewel was the man that laid his shoulders down in the opening match, and that's Roman Reigns, the same guy that laid his shoulders down for Cody Rhodes to finish his story, the same guy that I think laid his shoulders down against Jey Uso at one point in a match. Because that's what Roman Reigns does. He's a professional, and when it's time to put the person over that needs to be put over, he does it. Just want to point that out. JJ, your turn.
I kind of want to echo G's sentiments. I thought Crown Jewel was a spectacular show. You know, I know a lot of people are kind of sour on the Saudi shows in general, but I feel like this show was really solid from bell to bell. My biggest beef with it is I feel like the wrong people won the Crown Jewel championships. I feel like this was totally Nia's thing to win, and Liv didn't really need it. And considering that you can't take the belt anywhere, I didn't see why you're going to give it to Cody. Cody's the guy that does all the publicity. He's the guy that goes on all the shows. If you can't have that belt with him to show it off and promote it, then what was the point in giving it to him? You know, I feel like they should have given the championship to Gunther, especially as over as he's proven to be in the foreign countries.
Yeah.
And I feel like the heel, or I mean, granted, the women's match, they're both heels, so it really wouldn't have mattered. But that's probably why they gave it to Cody, because you got to have a good guy win for the Saudis to be proud of. I don't know, but I do agree with you, JJ, that Gunther and Nia would have served better with those bragging rights with the ring, fits their characters better. But it is what it is, and it's Crown Jewel, it's Saudi Arabia show. They got big bucks for it. So at the end of the day, that's what matters to them. And Survivor Series is coming up. That's the next stage of the game for WWE. Walter, what do you have to say? Or should I come back to you?
No. I echo pretty much the same thing. I guess now that this is going to be a yearly thing, we get to debate 20 years from now who's the GOAT based on how many rings they win, like in the NBA. Like, see if somebody gets 6 rings, 7 rings. We'll see how they book these coming up, because everybody debates based on rings. So we'll see. But yeah, I like the opener. I didn't expect that one to be the opener, but I do love that Roman laid down and looked at the lights for his cousin. I mean, if anybody puts their family over, it's Roman Reigns. You cannot take that away from him. He knows how to. If he is rising and climbing to the top, he knows how to reach down and pull somebody up with him. I can say that it's not just him; his whole family is involved, no matter what. Even when he comes out victorious, he makes his family look good, and I love that he did that. But the pay-per-view or PLE, whatever you want to call it, or overall, it was awesome. It was what it was. It's supposed to serve as a filler between till we get to War Games, but I feel like every time they go to Saudi, they're getting better and better and better. So like they always shocking. Like that it's a show that everyone has low expectations and then they end up delivering. So
Yeah.
Now, Walter, in the main event, we are going to talk more about this version of Reigns, where we're at right now, and why he kind of has to do this for the ultimate payoff. We all know how. Is there cats there, Big G?
Yeah, Joker's here.
Yeah, look at you. So, we talk about Roman a little bit. We'll just wait till later because the word vulnerable comes to mind. All right, Gino, have at it.
Yes,
with
sir.
Crown Jewel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I wanted to touch on some things that you guys mentioned before I go into my thoughts. Like Walter said, with the rings, collecting rings, I didn't even think of that. And I think that's wonderful, Walter. I really hope that they do that and it would start to make it mean more. Kind of like, we talked about the belts not leaving the country. It almost makes me think that they might actually be real and not like fake jewels and gemstones, kind of like the Super Bowl trophy, right? You win it, but you don't carry it around like the Stanley Cup. So there's that more of that Super Bowl NFL style connection. It didn't like kind of coming into the event. It wasn't really a lot of like, oh, this is what everybody wants to see type of thing. It doesn't really mean something to me at the moment, but watching Liv get emotional, it meant something to her, and that made it mean more for me. So I wanted to touch on that. I know she's the heel, but we know that they're human beings, and so that's something that's really good. I thought that the finish to Cody Gunther, whatever, the clean roll-up situation, it felt old school. It felt like a blast from the past style ending to a match, almost more realistic, right? Especially the way Gunther wrestles. He wrestles realistic, right? He's winning with a power bomb or a sleeper hold, stuff that growing up, when I grew up, like those were the things that you did to your brothers, right? So I kind of like that. It feels every time we see Gunther, it feels real. Now, Aaron, like you predicted with the Tiffy time when both of the girls were down, and I kind of marked out for how awesome I thought that would be. When her song hit, I thought of you immediately. I was like, dude, this is exactly why wrestling is awesome.
Yeah.
It should have been obvious that she wasn't going to cash it in and that it was just going to be used to have Nia lose. We should have been able to predict that. So I was kicking myself about that. I thought Seth Rollins should have lost, but if he's going to win, it was booked to make Bronson look as strong as possible. So if he had to win, that was probably the best way to do it, where he got cocky, kind of like Braun Breaker when he didn't beat Sami Zayn for his first title shot. So there's precedent for that. They opened the show with the best storyline and that closing shot, kind of like Cody Rhodes at the end of Mania 39. I believe it's 39, where he's in the ring distraught, and you got the person over the shoulder. I thought that was great. Now, as far as the mentioning of the rings and the championships, I have my doubts that they even talk about it once they leave Saudi. Like, I don't even think they're going to do it on SmackDown if SmackDown's back in the States. I don't think they're going to mention the rings. I don't think they're going to mention the championship. They might, just to complete the week. And unless Liv starts using like the ring as like a knockout punch or something, like I genuinely don't expect to see any talk about the Saudi stuff after Friday. So those are my thoughts.
I'm throwing a flag on this one. So
Yes, sir.
Liv Morgan, as a heel, wins this match in heel fashion.
Yep.
Right.
Now, we know when they do this backstage thing after the event, we know it's Liv Morgan, her, not the character. Women getting such, even if it's a made-up accomplishment, they awarded her that accomplishment in a country where women have been suppressed. So that's where this emotion is. It's not the character. I hate that. I wish they didn't do stuff like that. Let her get emotional with this camera off. Because then the fans are going to be like, oh, we love Morgan now. And so they're going to turn her baby face? Turn her baby face now, because you're going to get fans empathetic for her. I just hate that. You like that, Gino? I hated that. She can get emotional for those reasons. Off camera, please. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I mean, that's a very fair point. I mean, if she wants to do it during the press conference after the show.
She cheated to win.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It is what it is. It's a different time. Kayfabe's dead. But you're right. In most cases, the heels should not really show that kind of emotion, because then people are just going to end up cheering for them. It's an old school mentality. I definitely see what you're saying with that. As far as the show, I thought it was very good. I think Walter mentioned it, how the Saudi Arabia shows just keep getting better. Back in the day, we were dreading them, and now they're actually really solid shows. And I thought this was another fun, easy watch. I agree with Mr. Anderson in the chat room. I believe I gave it a solid B+, and I think it was a really good show. I enjoyed everything with the bloodline. I'm very entertained with the Saudi Arabia crowds. I think that they bring a lot of energy to the shows, and they were hot for Monday Night Raw as well. I'm looking forward to what's next with the bloodline storyline, and we'll be talking about that in just a few moments here. And Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Says, what is Dirty Dom's finisher? The roll up. I actually think his finisher is the frog splash, right?
It is. It is the frog splash.
Yeah.
He copies his dad. He does
shimmy.
619. He goes up top, does the Eddie Guerrero taunt, and then goes for the frog splash. And then, the roll up could be another way that he wins matches. I feel like he probably wins with the roll up more than he does with the actual finisher. But thank you for that, Michael.
He copies both his dads.
Yeah, Virtue.
Now, you know what I would have been impressed by? Had Dominic been with Liv during that presentation in the back, and he got all teary-eyed, like, we did it. That would have been hysterical. I would have loved that. Just wanted to point that out.
Walter.
Yes,
I just want to ask, am I the only one that thinks Dom should have won that #1 contender? Like, for some reason, I was rooting for Dom. Am I the only one that felt like that?
Walter,
It kind of goes backwards.
Listen, he ain't going to get that push until he gets a little bit more jacked. That's just most likely that's the case. Even without Vince McMahon there, he just needs to grow into his body, which he will, I'm sure, the right way. Then we'll see if he gets that main event push. I mean, look at Damian Priest. Dude, he's a beast.
Right, but didn't Dom beat Priest, and then now Priest is the #1 contender? It just feels a little convoluted. So I guess I could see what you're talking about with that. Like, it almost felt like you were booking Dom to win. Plus, he was the only one who didn't get hit with a tsunami. Like, it feels like it would have been a really easy. I mean, but I agree with you, Virtue. He's still too early for him to have that push.
How
What he's doing
old
right
is
now
he?
is great.
What's he, like,
Great question.
25? About 25 or something?
He's got to be like 24 or something like that.
Yeah, he's young. He's young.
He's young. He's got a while.
Yeah, he's 27.
Aaron?
All right, so we got some more super chats. Thank you guys for sending in the super chats. Mr. Anderson sent in $2. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Says, surprised no one mentioned the Kevin Owens and Randy Orton chaos. Well, I said that was one of the things that didn't need to be on the show. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a nice brawl, but didn't need to be on the pay-per-view. Anybody want to add to that, Gino?
Yeah, actually, when we were trying to predict what was going to be other matches on the show, I did kind of mention, I was like, I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens is going to put Randy on the shelf, right? It's storyline wise, and it kind of feels like it went that way. Like you said, calling a match on a show, having fans coming there expecting to see that, it's a little bait and switchy. But it was entertaining nonetheless.
When we were doing our predictions, I predicted that one of those matches were going to end up being a no contest like that in a brawl. I just predicted the wrong match. I thought it was going to be Seth and Bronson to end up doing that and not have a winner, but it was Randy and KO. So I knew some match was going to end up doing that.
Yeah,
dude, and that's another thing you brought up. See, look, I'm finding things like, did Seth have to win? Like, you got to
and they're continuing the feud too. Like, it would have made more sense for Bronson Reed to win the
you
first.
got to build stars, and fake wins do matter for somebody that's devastating like him. And you could have protected Rollins. Again, whatever. Maybe the ultimate plan will still be great for Bronson Reed.
I wanted Bronson to win too. I agree. There's no point.
I don't know. Just you got to throw some different things in the hat sometimes.
And then Rollins did the same thing CM Punk did. He does the promo and says, "I'm moving past Bronson Reed. It's now on to the world title." Same thing CM Punk said earlier.
Yeah, Bronson Reed, you're nobody. You're nobody. You're a filler. That's what you did right there.
I'm one of the mindset that always, when you're gonna have like a multi match rivalry, the heel should always win the first one. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, the babyface has nothing to conquer if he beat you in the first time.
But guess what, guys? You know what? It's throwaway, crown jewel, Saudi Arabia. We got our money. Who cares what the results are? Moving on to Survivor Series.
I mean, it could work because remember Bret Hart beat Steve Austin in their first match, and Austin kept coming for him and driving him crazy. So, I mean, it could work. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, it's probably just a filler. Rollins will win the feud to set himself up for WrestleMania. We'll see if it helps Bronson Reed or not. Time will tell on that. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, imagine WWE bringing back the WCW Battle Bowl. Well, they got the ring, so close enough, right?
Yep.
I
don't remember what the Battle Bowl is. So.
It sucked. It was a lame, like, battle royal / tag team.
Dumbest thing. It was like a battle royal that turned to a tag team match that turned into, it was like weird. It was almost like a 3 stages of hell where each match it was something different. I don't know. It's freaking weird.
Yeah, they actually tried a WCW Battle Bowl pay-per-view and it bombed. So I think that's one WCW concept Triple H is not going to utilize. I think that's safe to say. And then one more here before we move on. Psycho Jet Black, JJ, he wants to know your thoughts on the 75-inch UHD AI TV that you got.
We talking tech now. Let's get it.
The whole shtick is, and I think Psycho's been around that he knows this. My girlfriend won this at a raffle at her work, and we haven't opened it yet because we're waiting for the move. Because there's a move here that's impending. We don't want to open it, set it up, then have to break it down, transfer it. And I think he's shown up to some of the open night Saturday shenanigans shows where we've pointed this out before.
Well,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've pointed it out on the NoDQ review before.
And so he's just, razzing, but hey, you got $2 out of it.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And now the rest of you have to have some weird ass box in the background, so he'll super chat about that too. All right, let's move on. Virtue, what's
all right? Filler topic, but we got to talk about it. Baron Corbin. I hope you can still see me. My computer spazzed out. Baron Corbin.
Can hear you.
Well, I'm just going to pass it on. JJ, you can start on this. It's the end of days. It looks like for him in WWE. So thoughts on Corbin's career, what he could do next. You know the routine. We do this every once in a while.
I'm probably the worst person on the panel to ask about Corbin because a good chunk of his run in WWE was during my hiatus from 2014 to 2021, 2022. So I didn't see the Lone Wolf come up through NXT. I didn't see Constable. I didn't see King of the Ring. I didn't see General Manager. I didn't see bum-ass Corbin. I did see a little bit of Happy Corbin, and Riddick Moss and everything, which that was entertaining to me. I did enjoy it to a certain degree. But I think the run that he had in NXT prior to getting called back up to the main roster was like really solid. I did see all of that. I thought it was perfect for him going back since he had floundered on the main roster for so long. I thought the stuff he did with Braun was amazing, well overdue. You know, they drafted both of them. I feel like they should have kept them together for a while. Then around, you know, now maybe going in the Rumble, you could have had Braun turn on Corbin, setting up a match possibly for, you know, like night one of WrestleMania or even the WrestleMania SmackDown, as they call it now, you know. And could have done something with them then. And then if you're going to release them, you're going to release them, whatever. But like, I do feel there was some stuff with Corbin that they really could have capitalized on, especially with the Braun Breaker thing.
I mean, it is what it is, and you know, will he
Yeah.
end up in AEW or
No,
TNA, or is
No.
he done? Like, what do you think he's
TNA,
gonna do?
maybe. I think he would be good in TNA. AEW, he's just going to be another dude that does like 2 matches and is in catering for the rest of his career there. Tony Khan will sign him to a 5-year deal. He'll wrestle once on Dynamite, once on Collision, once on Rampage, maybe have a pre-show match, a 0-hour match on some throwaway PLE pay-per-view, and then he'll be in catering for the rest of his 4.5-year contract.
Yeah, he'll lose.
TNA
He'll lose to Orange Cassidy and those guys.
He'll lose to Hook.
Hook,
You know,
yes.
It's like if he goes to TNA, I think he could have some stellar matches, you know, whether it's with a TNA veteran like Frankie Kazarian or even challenging Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry, Moose, Speedball Mike Bailey. I could see him having some good matches with some of these guys. You know, Ace Austin, get well soon to Chris Bay. But, you know, either one of those guys, he would thrive in TNA though. AEW, he's just going to be Tony's new signing toy that is irrelevant after 6
He
months.
could be part of the learning tree.
No.
He could
All
be
right,
the
well,
other Redwood.
Thank you, JJ. Okay, Walter.
Yeah, another case of a missed opportunity. They had something, especially like I feel like when they did bum ass Corbin and then he came back and he had so much momentum to the point like people actually started feeling sympathy for him and felt bad for him, and then they just went back into what they did. It's just another case of the start stop thing, and it just messed him up. And then when he went down to NXT, he had so much momentum. It's like then they brought him back in the main roster and just he was still part of a tag team instead of them taking advantage of him. So it's just that at some point it's just too little, too late. If I was him, you know, he's a Golden Glove boxer. Go into blood sport. Go back into real fighting. Do some boxing celebrity things where you get big paydays for a 5-minute work and then walk away. Join Netflix and do the stuff under Jake Paul's cards and do that kind of stuff. Go box and make money and do that. He doesn't have to wrestle if he wants. You just make you know, $100,000 to do 10 minutes of work and walk away. He can enjoy his family now. He doesn't necessarily have to put his body through that. But I feel like wrestlers, probably part of them will want to prove himself, just prove it to himself. They can get over in some other company. So we'll see what he does. It's his own mentality thing.
Perfect job for him because he's a Chiefs fan. As long as they're together, he can be Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, one of their bodyguards.
Right?
I think he's been in the press box with them before, if I'm not mistaken. JJ?
To piggyback off Walter's point real quick, I'll keep it short. Just look at what Mustafa Ali did after
What'd he
being
do?
released and how he was able to reinvent himself, prove himself under the TNA landscape.
Oh, Aaron, TNA.
I mean,
JJ
if a tree
JJ
falls
watches
and nobody
TNA.
hears it, doesn't make a sound.
Damn.
Well, to JJ it does. So, okay.
Most of
All right,
us did.
Walter, anything else? I'm going to pass it
Nah,
on to
that's
Gino.
it.
Gino.
I just feel bad for the guy.
Gino.
Yeah. So I was unsure of what to expect with Baron Corbin when he came to the WWE. He was touted as a former NFL player. I think he played for the Chiefs, or he's from Kansas City, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but you know, he had the long hair, the lone wolf gimmick, the beanie. He started the bald. They kind of leaned into cutting his hair. Wasn't a big fan of that. Wasn't a big fan of him like winning King of the Ring and what they did there. The sad to happy Corbin stuff, the dog food being associated with one of the like worst segments ever with the dog food. Like, it's not really a good look for him. The Constable, I completely forgot. I forgot that he was GM. But as I'm saying on this, man, he tried, right? Like, they gave him stuff to do, and he did it, and he seemed to be putting his effort all into that. His theme song, when he was the lone wolf, though, man, I could still listen to that right now and go get a pump in at the gym.
I
He
believe
was the
that
last
was
one to beat Roman before Jay pinned him in a tag match, correct?
Yes.
There you
He
go.
did. He
Corbin.
did pin
That's your-
Roman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes to speaking about you, Roman. When he needs to try and put somebody over, he has no problem doing that, and that's professionalism. I just don't understand. Like, you could have gone back. Like, now that he's split from Braun, you could have given him the lone wolf gimmick again.
yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying go as far as wearing a hat with fake hair coming out of it like Hulk Hogan does, but like, you could have done something with that. Like everybody said, and I was going to talk about in the opening question, the super chat from Psycho Jet Black, he had the most protected finisher in wrestling. I think only Drew McIntyre kicked out of it. So that's what you want from a finisher. I mean, yeah, it's super awesome. And Undertaker's even talked about how he taught that to Baron Corbin, but he also feels bad that his matches at WrestleMania with Shawn Michaels kind of started this whole false finish with the finishers thing. I would like for finishers to get back to that. And we actually had one that was already that. I just feels like with all of there's got to be there could have been a spot for him. And now I believe he's going to come back to the WWE after some time off. Bronson Reed came back. You have people who are coming back, whether they go somewhere else and make a big name or not. I could see maybe something working out with that. It's just, he did a good job and he left a lasting impact for maybe not always the best reasons, but there's a lot of people on the roster still to today that honestly, you see them and it's like, what's your name again? And at least Baron Corbin was recognizable. I didn't like his name, Baron Corbin. It's like, okay, but I mean, they gave him every opportunity, and if they felt like it wasn't working out, I mean, you got to do what you got to do as a business. But I don't know. I felt like there could have been more with him.
He was there over 10 years, I think. I mean, counting NXT and everything. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
time flies. All right, Big G, over to you, and then make it quick. We got to
Yeah.
get to Aaron, a bunch of super chats.
Yeah, I mean, I did like his early NXT days, JJ. That was me and Noah's NXT Black and Gold. But I mean, I felt like his NXT stuff was good. His main roster stuff, I mean, there was some good and some bad. And then him going back down to NXT with Braun Breaker, I felt like he had, like you said, JJ, he had a lot of momentum going back down in there. And I think even Walter said that too. But I'm sure he'll end up somewhere doing something. I mean, I follow him on TikTok, and he does a whole bunch of cooking shows and cooking stuff. So he has alternate things to do if he doesn't want to go back to wrestling. But
Pretty sure he's a millionaire.
maybe
Not.
It's yeah. And like you said, he was there 10 plus years, and I feel like in your WWE or in any wrestling company, 10 plus years, I feel like you had a good career. So
Is he a Hall of Famer?
It's
Then
just
you got to
like
let Brooklyn Brawler in. All right, Aaron.
I would say he is not a Hall of Famer, but hey, he did retire Kurt Angle. He's damaged goods, unfortunately. I think the bad booking really did him in, and he was a good wrestler. And that we were talking about the theme song. That was, I believe, Jim Johnston's last composition before he left WWE. It was a great song. When he became bum-ass Corbin, that could have been a great opportunity to transition him back into the Lone Wolf and give him his old music back and let him come out there with his old character. But then they just went with the Happy Corbin gimmick with Madcap Moss, and it was terrible. And by that point, I did not give a damn about the guy. And then they had JBL out there with the really long pants. That was awful too. Like, it was just too late. They took him to NXT, but the damage was done. It was too little, too late for him. I don't see him going to AEW. Like, what are they even going to call him? His real name is Thomas. That not much of a marketable name right there. So, what do you do with the guy without being able to use the Baron Corbin name? And like we said, he'll probably go there and feud with Orange Cassidy and lose to Jay Briscoe and all those guys, all the conglomeration guys. Big G.
Just put instead of Baron Corbin, just put Baron Von Corbin. Just add that
Baron
Von in
Von
there.
Corbin with the claw. There you go. That'll be his new gimmick. We got some super chats here, so thank you guys. Mr. Anderson sent in $2. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Says Corbin was great. He pinned our now OTC Roman Reigns. Yeah, he did that. He beat Kurt Angle. He should have been a bigger star than he was. He really should.
Didn't he beat John Cena too? I don't remember.
Probably.
I'm thinking of somebody
I mean,
else.
a lot of people beat John Cena, and it kind of lost its meaning after a while.
Fair enough.
But yeah, he should have been a bigger deal. Psycho Jet Black sent in some super chats. Thank you, Psycho. Says, imagine Baron Corbin having 5-star matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, hey, with the right opponent, maybe he could. You know, there's certain wrestling reviewers out there that love the 5-star matches in the Tokyo Dome. So if he goes there, he faces Zack Sabre Jr., he can have a 5-star barn burner. There you go.
Some people just fall through the cracks. It's like, look at Wade Barrett's run. Like, he just slipped through the cracks. But Wade Barrett should have been a bigger star than what he was too. And it's like he kept changing gimmicks and coming back, and then they eventually released him. But Baron, at least he wasn't released. It was just not renewing the contract. So I mean, that may say something.
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll come back, but again, as I mentioned before, he's 40 years old. He's not exactly a young up-and-comer. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, Baron Corbin's AEW name will be Thomas the Tank Engine. I mean, if he went to AEW, they'd probably give him something silly like that. I mean, Big Bill's the Redwood. So Baron Corbin will be Thomas the Tower or something like that. You know, give him some goofy name as part of Chris Jericho's group. And Psycho Jet Black says, JJ, thoughts on the NWA Big Gold and X Division titles? Random. Well, you have all the replicas.
Because I have them behind me again. I've got the NWA World Title and X Division title. 2 of my favorite championships. That's why I own them.
Yeah.
You know, 10 pounds of gold, got to see defended on more than one occasion at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And then the X Division title got to see defended at PWG for those years. So
if somebody,
I got titles now too.
If somebody broke into your house and said, I'm taking 2 out of these 3 titles or else I'll kill you, which title do you keep?
if I had to pick one to keep, gun to my head, I'd want to keep the X Division title. That's my favorite.
All right, fair enough. So there you go. Shout out to TNA for making a great X Division championship. And Psycho Jet Black wants to know, which are your favorite Taylor Swift songs? Well, I like Trouble. Trouble would be my all-time favorite. Big G, I know you're a big Swiftie, so tell us your favorite Taylor Swift bangers.
Yeah, no. Taylor Swift can go
Swift
up Travis Kelce's ass.
Whoa. Okay, Walter, I know you like a few Taylor. Or wait, Gino has a couple.
Yeah. Well, when she performed at the Victoria's Secret fashion show one year before they stopped doing it, they brought the show back, thankfully. But her song style, it slapped then, and I kind of enjoy that now, to be honest with you.
All right, Virtue, I know you're a big Taylor Swift fan.
No, yeah, I could.
When she stopped singing is his favorite.
Yeah, no, sorry.
If she let Shine Down open for them, then you would become a fan of hers.
They would
whatever song she makes after Kelsey dumps her.
Yeah, no longer in my end zone or something like that, or not my tight end or something would be the title. It'd be hilarious.
They should have had her song Bad Blood be the Bad Blood theme.
With the Kendrick remix,
I don't know, something.
All right, guys, let's get to the main event. Thank you, Psycho Jet Black. Very entertaining super chats tonight.
Yeah, we ain't done yet. All right, main event time. Is it good that Roman Reigns, now the OTC, is vulnerable? Now, remember how he lost to Cody at WrestleMania. And now he's coming back trying to put the band back together, but in a different form now. And they're all equals, even though he's going to be the original tribal chief the whole way. But he's getting beat. He's taking pins, getting beat down more often. And you have to do that because now he's the baby face. And what do you got to do with the baby face? Make them chase, make them scratch and claw, be an underdog for a little bit, because it'll be so rewarding when, however he gets to it, wins a Royal Rumble, or however he faces The Rock, whenever that's going to happen, which should be WrestleMania, and hopefully can beat him. That's what it's all about. So this is good to see Roman vulnerable. But what does everybody else think? Is it, how do you go from being the mob boss to, you just can't do it, and you're getting beat up and you need more help, and you're going to need Sami Zayn. Gino, I'll start with you on this one.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much, Virtue. So is it good that Roman Reigns is vulnerable? Yeah, it is. I don't see how him coming back and being a super Cena type of character, winning 4-on-1s and all these things. Like, you can't really, there would be no need for him to reunite the old bloodline, right? Without his vulnerability. So it's absolutely essential. Like you said it, I've echoed it. We'll say it again. He is an ultimate professional. He will put people over when he's asked to do so. And that's just respectable. I would say, though, it is a good thing that he is kind of immune to. I feel like he is immune to his losses, right? At this point, he's such a built-up character that he could lose throughout, and it would still be the biggest match of all time if he wins the Royal Rumble and faces The Rock at Mania. So it really, he's kind of at that echelon now. I kind of feel like where Seth Rollins is, which is why I don't think he should have won against Bronson, but he's at that echelon where he can lose, and it doesn't really take away from everybody's feeling that he's a threat. Speaking of that, right? We talked about it in the past, right? He not putting over the new bloodline, but he is just not maybe in matches until the last PLE. He was putting them over just by taking the beat downs, which helps put the story over. And the idea of this story and the OG bloodline reuniting being rushed, I think they're doing a great job kind of taking their time with this thing. You could just either have them all hug on Monday. Obviously it wasn't Roman Reigns, but I think that they're doing just top-notch storytelling for everything associated with Roman Reigns. It goes to speak to a few reviews ago when Virtue brought up the question, who's the bigger draw, him or Cody? I mean, it's so obviously Roman Reigns that, it's good and you can be vulnerable. A lot of people think you have to be this big superhero character because of what we saw from Cena, what we saw from Hogan in the past. But The Rock, I more often than not, when I was watching The Rock when I was younger, he was getting beat down. He was selling things. He wasn't invincible until maybe a match came. So I think it's good that he's vulnerable. It's helping add to the story, and people aren't perfect. So if he was just unstoppable machine, where do we even go from here? So.
Yeah, I mean, they got to create the video game character that you don't think can get to the end, like the guy in Punch-Out, Mario, and then when you get to the final boss, they're this just huge or unstoppable Mike Tyson, and you got to go through them. That's what they need to build with Roman Reigns. All right, over to you, Big G. Could you see one day Roman Reigns or Joe Anoa'i, President of the United States, putting his finger in the air after he wins the election, saying, "Acknowledge me"?
That'd be funny.
But The Rock more obviously.
The Rock more obvious. I think everybody would vote for The Rock. It'd be a landslide.
That's the thing, though. With Trump being president, any rich person now has a shot in the future. As long as they got connections and popularity. So go ahead.
But yeah, as far as Roman Reigns being vulnerable in this state of his career, this state of this act, if you want to call it, we've seen Roman Reigns for the past 4 years, like you said, being the mob boss, being the guy on top, always, he was always the one, not really doing the beatdowns, but conducting the beatdowns, telling them, all right, we're going to beat down this person. And occasionally he would do the beatdowns and stuff like that and help out. But now we're seeing him getting beat down by Solo's bloodline. and you're the fans are being more connected with Roman because they are on that same page with him. Um, but yeah, like now Roman needs help from his family, and Sammy's coming on Friday so they can hash it out. But they're not gonna, they're what's the word I'm thinking of? Like they're not 100%. They're still gonna have their faults, and they're not going to be 100% complete until like maybe after Survivor Series or up until like the week of Survivor Series. And if Paul Heyman comes back and he's the one that finally is like, all right, we got to throw everything out, water under the bridge, clean slate, and we got to be a family again. So, but I'm liking this version of Roman Reigns, like I said, so it'll be interesting.
And Big G, why do I start getting these like little feelings? Like, so say they do the bloodline and bloodline match. Sammy's, the 4-on-4.
Right.
Why do I think there's this chance like Sami Zayn could turn on them and align with the other bloodline because of everything they put him through? He's gonna turn heel. But that's what I like. I like the vulnerable Roman Reigns. I like to be able to think something could happen, even if it doesn't. That's fine. But isn't that what we want as wrestling fans, to think of possibilities to make ourselves unsure just a little bit so we can kind of be surprised?
Solo always treated Sammy with respect too, if you looked at it.
And they did talk. Remember last week, that picture I used? Go ahead.
Well, there was something I wanted to bring up here. So Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat, says, when does the wise man come in? I miss Paul Heyman. And, he could be the final piece of the puzzle that gets the old bloodline back together. But Caleb Jacobs had mentioned this in one of the comment sections on a stream. He brought up the idea that what if Paul Heyman turns against Roman Reigns, and that creates more issues with Roman, and Paul Heyman sides with the new bloodline. Maybe you guys can talk about that as we continue on with this convo. Like, what if Paul Heyman turns against Roman?
So Paul would turn on Solo, even though Solo put him through a table. So Paul Heyman went through all that, being all sad and missing his tribal chief, and growing out his little fuzzy and not dyeing his hair, getting to it through a table, all just to say, okay, screw it, screw you, Roman. I'm siding with Solo, even though he put me through all this BS. Nah, I don't see that happening. Paul's 100%. Gonna, or Paul might not even come back.
He might not.
You always think him, because he's done it so often, like where he turns, and he teased it with Roman and Brock right during this bloodline run.
Mm-hmm.
But something like Sami Zayn, that would be like, whoa, what I mean? You need that. Like, we would expect Heyman to.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, we wouldn't. After all of this, they get, hey, we're back together, everything's going good. No, big curveball. That's wrestling.
Yeah.
Those are the things a good wrestling producer and writer would do to get you talking, to see now what are they going to do? Is Sammy heel on the other side? What? Again, the vulnerability of Roman Reigns is the key here, Walter.
If they do that with Sammy, they should wait till actual War Games, because it was at War Games where they did the thing. At the end of War Games, that's when Sammy does it and joins them, and he costs the original bloodline the original bloodline the match. Like that, if they're gonna do it, they should do that there. Make it look like he loves them and all that, and he's done, and he's Sammy Uso and all that. Then he does that, screw them, and then hey, you can reunite KO and Sammy as heels again.
All right, Big G, are you good? Are you good? Okay, I'm going to say he is. JJ, I'll go to you next.
I think it's good that Roman is vulnerable because he's no longer champion. So you don't have to keep him super protected, with the championship like you did for the 4-year run that he had the gold. Solo deserved the victory. There would be no reason to get to War Games if the OGs had beaten the Wish version of the bloodline. So you keep that going. To G's thing about Paul Heyman turning heel, it could always be played up like, I respect Solo for having the balls to do what he did, Plus, despite my devotion to my tribal chief, he never checked in with me while I was out. And make it this whole thing where Roman never tried to contact him to see how he was doing after sacrificing his body for Roman getting put through the table. So screw you. I now I'm gonna acknowledge Solo. He did what he needed to do, just like you had done for all those years.
Oh, again, with Heyman, you always have to consider that. But like right now, Sammy is in this feud. We kind of have an idea of what the War Games match is going to be, and just perfect opportunity to keep
absolutely
Roman. Like, see what happens if everything is hunky dory and the good bloodline, they get back together and they win. It's at War Games, and Roman gets Azula follow. Then what do? Like, you got time to kill. You know what I mean? Yeah, we still have The Rock eventually, but if something like Sammy turned, now it's a whole nother every episode of.
Agree.
Yeah, you got more drama for TV.
I agree with you there.
And
especially since
Heyman
it was
needs to be involved again, though. People saying he should not come back. Like, no, we need to see him again. He was part of this. We need him back. That's the element with him and Roman. We need to see that again.
Absolutely. I was watching Crown Jewel, and after the whole miscue and Sammy taking out Roman, I stood right here. My girlfriend was here. Her son was here. I was like, they're definitely making it seem like a wise man is going to have to be the person to bring everyone back together, get them back on the same page. So I totally see with you there. And as far as the Sammy thing goes, it would be that much more poetic because it was that last War Games that had the bloodline where Sammy really cemented his spot as part of the family. Yeah. So for Sammy to turn on the family at War Games, it's long-term storytelling, which is something I've always been a fan of.
And could you imagine if for filler, Reigns and Sammy had a singles match, and this time, because he's vulnerable and he's taking L's because the bad bloodline finds ways to capitalize like he used to, Sammy gets a win over Roman Reigns too.
Hell yeah.
Chalk that up on Roman being a great team player. Just another possibility. But thank you, JJ. Walter.
Yeah, I think it works for him to be vulnerable. Vulnerability works if you do it right. Like, which is why I feel like Gunther should have won and beat Cody, because then it shows him as vulnerable. And then when Cody rematches KO, we can actually believe as fans that, hey, maybe he's got a chance to beat him. If you keep winning and there's no chink in your armor, what the hell is our point of investing in the next matches when we know who the outcome is already? It's like we already know what's going to happen before it happens. So making Roman vulnerable when we get to War Games, now we can cause doubt. Like, oh, maybe the new bloodline is better than the original. Maybe they can beat them. They already proved it. And now Solo actually has a claim to be in the next Tribal Chief because he pinned flat in the middle. He pinned the original Tribal Chief. He pinned him. And if you know, in a herd, when the young lion beats the old lion, he's now the new king. So Solo just beat Roman. Theoretically, he should be the new king. So I think when you show vulnerability, it works. You just have to book it right. So I'm in consensus with everybody else.
And Dylan, Lasagna, or whatever your name is, that's what we have to do. We can't expect Rock to be at Survivor Series. And, our end game is Rock and Roman at some point. But what else could happen that would be exciting to talk about? Sammy turning heel after hyping it all up. That's why I want to throw that out there, because me as a viewer watching somebody that I like Roman, I wanted these possibilities to happen, because then I know I'm going to have something to talk about. If it ain't Rock, maybe it'll be Sammy. Could it be a flat finish? Good bloodline win? Yeah, it could be. But that could be exciting. I mean, they're going to be pumped. And, if they did book it that way, the arena, they're all going to cheer. Yay. Everybody's hugging, crying, that's the easy way.
Yeah.
I like a little bit of compelling, right? Cliffhanger. What happens next? That's why this piece of Roman being this way now can create these possibilities of story arcs changing because somebody turns heel that we couldn't see before when Roman was dominant. Like, it creates a new version of this bloodline that we want to. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm so excited. Like I know the Rock's in the future. Sammy could get back together. They can all kumbaya, right? Hunky dory. But like I want to think it could still go wrong. Then what happens on TV? Insert Heyman. Imagine what Heyman would say if he came back and saw all this going down. They got back together only for a rat. And by the way, Sammy does look like a rat sometimes when his hair's off.
And think about this. Sammy was the piece that Bloodline was getting a little stale. Then the Sammy thing happened with the whole he's not feeling so oozy, and they like injected new life in it. Now you can inject new life the opposite way. Turn them heel and do that. And now you just injected a whole new dynamic.
Because we know Roman is babyface right now. Like that's not going to change anytime soon, right? They got to where they wanted with him, and The Rock's going to be the evil final boss. Now you can change the other players off of Roman being a babyface, and that's why this is good to talk about. All right, anything else, Walter?
No.
Aaron.
Well, first of all, I would like to read off the super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He says, "Seriously, I Dare You by Shinedown is a classic. Do you agree, Virtue?"
Yeah, that's a good one.
A good one?
Yeah, I think that one only hit number 2. That wasn't one of their record-breaking 19 on the Modern Rock chart, number 1 hits, but it was a number 2. It got to number 2.
All right, there you go. There's the Shinedown stat of the evening from Virtue. I think it's very good for Roman Reigns to show some adversity and overcome adversity. Looking at what happened with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39, he was distraught after losing. They showed that camera shot with Cody in the ring, and then they recreated it at Crown Jewel with Roman Reigns in the ring. I thought that was fantastic. And Bloodline needed to win that match really bad to give them some heat and give some credibility to Solo Sikoa. And what happens now? I mean, we still got several more weeks until Survivor Series. There could be more twists and turns. I feel like in the end, we're going to see Roman Reigns' group win at Survivor Series. But, Paul Heyman coming back to get them back together. I hope that happens. And here's an argument for Paul Heyman sticking with Roman Reigns. Psycho Jet Black says, "Seriously, I want to see a Paul Heyman and Rock promo." Like, that would be great for WrestleMania if it's Rock versus Roman. Paul Heyman comes out there and cuts a promo on The Rock, and they go back and forth on the mic. I would love that. So that's a solid argument for keeping Paul Heyman as a face. And who's going to boo Paul Heyman at this point? The only potential twist I could see where Roman loses at Survivor Series is if The Rock interferes. And I'm not expecting that to happen. So it's probably going to be the safe, good guys win, overcome the Solo bloodline, and then beginning of the year, Rock will show up. That's
so what's after Survivor Series? There's no PLE in December. So the next big show is the first Raw on Netflix.
Correct.
Yes. Is that like the first Monday in January?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be
That's my guess.
What about Saturday Night Main Event? Is that not in December?
It is, but I don't think they're going to do anything with the bloodline on that show. Roman will probably take off a month, take off Christmas, and then come back for the debut on Netflix. They're going to play it safe. I'm not expecting a big twist. Really, what I think they should do, though, is have The Rock cost Roman at Survivor Series. But I don't think
I'm on board with that, Aaron. I'm just trying to create. Oh, no, I gotta wait longer. That's why. I'm just always creating. I gotta wait. Yeah.
Set up WrestleMania. So I mean, my feeling is Roman Reigns wins at Survivor Series, and then it kind of slows down a bit until January, and then that's when things will pick up again. That's my gut feeling. December is going to be kind of a slow month, besides Saturday night's main event. But I don't think they're going to do much with Roman in December. It'll just be a break for him. He's going to have his little vacation until January. That's my gut feeling. But I'm glad that going into Survivor Series, Roman Reigns has to try and get some payback. Definitely the right call. And I'm looking forward to it. Yep.
All right, we all caught up. 1 hour.
Yeah.
All right, because everybody wants to go watch the news the rest of the night into the morning. Let's go around and do our final words. Big G.
Yes, if you're a cat person like Aaron, Gino, myself, I have a YouTube channel, Harley and Joker 2021. A bunch of cat videos up there. X, if you want to follow me there, NoDQ _ Big Baller G, TikTok, Big Biology 1988, and on the Insta, NoDQ underscore Big Biology 1988. That is it
All right.
for the G Man.
Thank you, Big G. Okay, JJ. Mute.
You can support me and all the people affiliated with the Simply Reliable Studios. Just follow any of those YouTube channels you see there. Jay Hebert Studios, my own Casa D18 Studios, Simple Man's Brand for Noah Foster, and Walter's Rage of Wrestling. We are the only reliable SRS in professional wrestling. Damn it. And, you know, once we get off the air here, we're actually going to be doing a watch along of the elections and announcing who's winning states and everything. We're trying to expand our horizons.
The big one's going to be Pennsylvania. That's the
one
deal
of them,
breaker. Yeah.
Oh,
That's definitely one of them.
Georgia's the other
All right.
big
Well,
one. and
thank you.
She's losing it right now.
Thank you, JJ. Go ahead, Walter. Last words.
All right. So you can find me at Rage of Wrestling. At the YouTube channel, like he just said, the personal Instagram is Walter.Cruz.940, and the X is at Walter Alex Cruz, and go Mamacita. That's that. Ooh, I'm gonna get a heart attack Wednesday when Lola versus Jay is gonna happen. Oh my God, Jada Parker and her.
That definitely wasn't Kamala Harris.
I vote for Lola.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. As always, guys, I'm happy to be here. I love having people that we can talk with wrestling about, the chat, all the super chats. Thank you so much. You know, you guys help keep more life into these things. It's awesome. If you guys want to follow me, Papagino0017 or 0017, you can find me on YouTube and all the socials. And yeah, I'm super happy and looking forward to another great week of wrestling content.
All right. Thank you, Gino. Okay, Aaron.
Thank you all for watching, and make sure you guys go back and watch episode 308. We had a really good discussion last week, and if you missed it, you missed out a really good episode of the No DQ review. So go check that one out. We don't want the count to stop when it comes to views on the No DQ review. So keep watching, keep supporting, spread the word, tell a friend about the channel, and hopefully some of you will be watching on demand as well. If you do, thank you for watching, and hopefully some of you can tune in. We're on every night, not every night for various streams. But as far as No DQ Review goes, we're every week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific during the football season. And it seems to be a good time slot for the panel. We have 6 people tonight. And do you want 4? Do you want 5? Do you want 6? Who do you want on more? Leave a comment. Leave your feedback. What could we do to freshen up the No DQ review?
New moderator. I've been waiting, challenging someone to step up. I don't mind being just a little side panel member like Big G over there.
Yeah, leave a comment in the channel on the video. What would you like to see? What do you think could spice up interest in the No DQ review? We're looking for any kind of ideas to shake things up a little bit. And best of luck to everybody out there, whoever you voted for. Best of luck to you. And that's all I got. Thank you all again. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. Follow me on x.com if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue, and check out the NoDQ merch over on NoDQ.com/merch. For Aaron, for Big G, Gino, Walter, JJ, Jeff Meacham, Colin, and the whole NoDQ crew and galaxy, we will see you again next time. Good night, everybody.
Vote for No DQ.